What's going on?
Hey, hello, Internet.
We are thank you.
Everybody,
Wow.
Man. Way too hilarious on Carbon Act Bounty BS.
Right.
Sorry, Trenton.
No, it's cool. I get the solo shot, right? What's going on? What's going on? But right. But yeah, guys. We discussed this kind of previously, but just to kind of get it going before we jump into things, this will be our season 3, episode 8 review, and initial review, I guess, of the season overall. So it'll be a good talking point for everybody. But before we even dive into all this stuff, let's let our guy DP let you guys know where to find us at.
Nerdcyclopedia.com, people. Make sure that you go into your favorite website and click it on your favorite social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and also on TikTok. Follow us at Nerdcyclopedia. If you're listening to us on the podcast, thank you. Listen to us on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast. Guess what? We're there. If you're watching us on YouTube, congratulations. Thank you. Make sure that you are hitting that subscribe button and also hitting that notification button. So anytime that we're on, you know that we're on. If you're watching us on Facebook, follow us at Carbon Act Bounty BS, a Star Wars group. You're getting all your favorite stuff, and also every time that we post something, you're getting it. You're getting it right then and there. All right. Make sure that you are leaving us some feedback too. Nerds at nerdcyclopedia.com. We love all your feedback and everything. So yeah, just keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Good stuff. And yeah, man, where do we start, right? Where do we start? So much to really unpack, which is why I think that this will run long, which is good, and we'll obviously do a two-parter. But I took some initial notes off the bat as far as the show. Today I'll take the liberty of leading off as far as my initial reaction. Overall, I found it a great episode. A couple of the big points were. It was very simple, right? It was very basic, I thought. And basic, not in a bad way, but as far as the storytelling, we could have went into who is the spy, and we could have delved into different aspects of that. We could have worried about somebody riding the mythosaur. We could have worried about a lot of things. It was just basically, your typical happy ending. And there's nothing wrong with them doing a linear story at the end that left it open, right? Because we talk about this all the time. They left it open for debate. We'll get into a lot of talking points as far as, are certain people dead? Is this happening? Is that happening? But all in all, they left it open, which is cool. Some of the action, and it'll be our talking point, which is very funny. I see that his foot tat. It was a happy ending. If you know, you know. But one of the big talking points were some of the fight scenes and the way people went down. That was, I guess, my only gripe. It was cool, but just certain points I was like, they're not that weak, or you that strong. So we'll get into that. But overall, I thought it was a great finale. They left it open for season 4 to go anywhere, right? We can go back on our adventures. We can follow Mandalore, which seems to now be a thriving planet. So opens up canon, as we discussed, not just head canon, but canon now, because Mandalore seems like the Mandalorians are rebuilding. So there'll be a force, beyond episode 7, 8, 9, right? So it's nice to see where we're going. But overall, happy with the season. And like I said, it wasn't the greatest episode, but it tied everything up and left us open for what we see, which is known as season 4. Who wants to start? I know Ken is itching to go.
Yeah, put me on, Coach. So, this by far is the greatest 41 minutes of television I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
Let me just say
that's a hot take.
Here's what they did. So they brought back all the elements of the original Star Wars that I grew up with. All the wash scenes, all the edits. They brought back the just everything, the atmosphere that I fell in love with. I mean, here we have these folks that we know they're at the bottom, and now they have to fight back. They have to strike back. And it just had everything. This episode had absolutely everything that I love in Star Wars. I also liked that this episode, I think, what, 24? 24?
Yeah.
Return, it clicked. It clicked right into where we ended in 23. It was like the perfect cliffhanger. So I enjoyed that. I liked the fact that we saw some weakness with a lot of our characters, because that's what we need. We can't have one person like having all the power, because that's no good. That's what happens. Moff Gideon. And he was a really lame Kylo Ren, right? Can I just say that? I mean, really lame Kylo Ren.
Based on how he went out, I'll give you that for sure.
So, two of my favorite points in this film, I loved Axe crashing the cruiser, the capital ship, into the base.
That was dope.
Coming in hot. Yeah. No, coming in on fire. He was not just coming in hot. He was coming in on fire. They really needed to do more with that. That would be my only criticism. The other scene I liked was the Mandalorian's first in contact with the commando stormtroopers. That was legit. I mean, that was by far the best scene in this entire season. Not to mention the armorer with hammers. Like she don't need no guns. She just forged some hammers and is whacking some shit out of the air. And Bo-Katan leading the whole charge with this. This is the actual Darksaber, by the way. This is the one that actually got crushed at the end. This is it. But so much was done so well with this episode. I could tell that the writing was just perfection. They did the scripting right. I also liked R5 with the mouse droids, having that little conflict and being able to still stay on point and task with Din and help his master through that incredible barrage of violence that I've not seen that level of violence in Disney's in 40 years. I mean, Kathleen Kennedy really is letting some
oh my god
open here with the realism.
You had to do it.
I had to do it. You know why? You know why? Because I watched Jurassic Park, like the marathon they had on Sci-Fi. Kathleen Kennedy was on every single one of those films. Hey,
you mean Jurassic Park or Jurassic World?
All of them. She was on all of them.
Like, so you're telling me the last one was good?
Absolutely.
Oh my god! All right.
Oh hey,
let's finish up.
That's a whole different thing. Right. Anyway, this episode was the greatest finale I've ever seen. Watched it 4 times. I still don't. Can't get enough of it. But
Ken, wait. Can I stop you real quick? Can I stop you?
You're Ken out of Ken.
Hey, you're telling me this finale was better than Luke Skywalker? Oh my god! I'm done.
This one was pretty good. I mean,
moment.
Even the edit scenes, the wash scenes at the end were just like the Lars scenes, Tatooine, A New Hope. They did the whole thing with they brought it all back. I mean, they did. DP, what do you think? Did you hate it? You hated it, right?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
You do. I don't know if I should go. I don't know if I should go next. I want to keep with the vibe and everything. For those who thought it was,
I'll go. Man, I didn't think there was gonna be a lot of controversy tonight, but I guess there's gonna be some. Because you know what, I had a good time, and isn't that why we're here, is to have a good time. So to me, this was a really enjoyable episode of this show. And Was it the best? I mean, I would not put this above Luke Skywalker showing up out of nowhere in an X-wing. And for me, that was just so singular a moment. It's such the synthesis of the old and new Star Wars that I wouldn't put it ahead of that. But multiple times, I was saying stuff like, "This is awesome," and I'm really having a fun time. Like the Mandalorians jumping out of that capital ship and rocket packing around was awesome. That was awesome. The Mandalorian formation fighting the rock that was cool. That would be like the coolest thing any of us had ever seen in our lives, like 10 years ago. It's awesome. And Holly pointed this out. My wife pointed this out. The vanguard of that was all women. It was all the ladies, and I didn't notice it, which I thought spoke to how that was done right, and it was subtle, and it wasn't ham-fisted. It was just as how it was, right?
Right.
So I really enjoyed that a lot.
It wasn't Avengers Endgame-ish.
That's right. There was no pose.
Oh wow, DP, is this you?
I didn't say it was bad or anything like that. I'm just saying what he might have been comparing it to. So
okay.
So to me,
for another podcast.
So it was obvious to her, but not me, right? So I like that a lot. I really enjoyed all of the Grogu stuff, like him. I love his little like marionette puppet walk that they have him doing, where it looks like his feet are just spinning around down there. Everything about this episode was great. The Darksaber is broken. I guess they could probably fix it, but I don't know what the rules are there. And man, this guy is just he's Moff Gideon is just, he's a wannabe Darth Vader so hard. So hard. Even his voice, like when they switched to like make sure that you got that he was using the Vader setting on that helmet. I mean, I loved it. I loved it so much. It made him seem like such a poser and so like a fanboy, like one of us, right? It seemed like one of us played that role, which I really thought was great. Because and of course this is nothing to say about Mr. Esposito's performance. That was the perfect portrayal of that guy being a triple B baby back bitch Moff. So for me, I really, really like that character. The whole thing about that characterization, and wow, the return to Mandalore at the end was like emotional. Having Grogu be brought into into the clan was an emotional climax, and it felt deserved. And yeah, this did feel like a happy ending. It felt like what happens when everything goes right, or like when you get the good ending in a video game, and you end up, riding off into the sunset somewhat, which I really liked. If they don't make a video game that starts from this exact point in the timeline, they're idiots. So I'm sure that there should be some sort of open world bounty hunting game coming out sooner or later from Disney, as soon as they get around to it. Really enjoy the episode a lot. And yeah, I think there's a lot to talk about, T. Mitch. I agree with you.
Definitely. DP, hit us with the truth, man, because I know where this is headed, which I'm happy for. I'm happy.
So I enjoyed about 95% of the episode. I enjoyed it. I thought it was I echo everything that you guys were saying. The fight sequences were, really good. The flight sequences were really great. I was like hearkening back to Chris Reeves' Superman, Superman the movie and everything. When you believe a man can fly and everything. We've come a long way from special effects with flying and everything. So you see 80s stuff with men flying and characters trying to fly, and it just looks so ham-fisted and stuff. Come to this point, we got special effects where we got a bunch of different Mandalorians in the air fighting the Imperial troopers and stuff. That was just an awesome sequence. I mean, just a straight awesome sequence. Like Kim was saying, I mean, the ship, coming down, that was just an awesome thing to see. Grogu, of course, in the IG-12 and stuff, doing his no, yes thing. I mean, that's always, fun to see. We finally get to see then, our hero, do his thing, slicing and dicing and everything. Well, I mean, we haven't really seen him do that, much this season, if at all. He was doing his thing. And then comes the end. It felt kind of anticlimactic to me, and it may be my fault because I listen to like a lot of podcasts and read stuff on online and stuff.
Your podcasts rot your brain, DP.
It's sure totally rot your brain. What were we talking about before? Before we got online here, headcanon, and it's not so much as you're writing headcanon, you're writing the script in your head, and then once you see it come out, it sort of gets disappointing. But essentially, that's what headcanon is. You write the you write the episode or movie in your brain, and then when it doesn't come out to what you expect, you get mad at it, which is not right. That's just not the way it's supposed to go. So I try to do my best to keep that separate. But for me, I think I was waiting for just something else for the season to mean something, other than this happy ending with the cartoon, what did he do at the end? It circled around to Grogu at the end.
He picked up a frog with the Force.
He let the frog go.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, is that the way you wanted it? Okay, but at least give me like a teaser or a post scene or something. Nothing, nothing to tie some stuff back. I felt that if they were going to introduce Moff Gideon's clones and stuff, they should have used that. Why would you introduce those potential clones there?
Write it up, Hitch.
Immediately
they weren't
Chekhov's Gideon's clones. Chekhov's clones.
Just like that. And I mean, he had all this stuff on Mandalorian stuff. I mean, I'm sitting up here thinking, okay, I know he must have like this guy has to be not that dumb just to leave all his stuff there, and not somewhere else where it could get just destroyed just like that. He cannot be that dumb.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
He's not.
So the whole definitely check off Gideon's clones. We better be coming down the line somewhere. Also the Mythosaur thing, we got like a little element of that, at the end, but I was expecting too much,
and that's what I said as far as like, you're kind of taking this the way I thought I'd take it, but that's why I said this is written very basic because they really could have went into a lot of these, right? They did the safe. I felt like this was too safe, like you're saying,
and that's the thing.
It's not a bad thing, but it was safe.
It was safe, and I think for those who are excited about this going back to basics, back to Din and Grogu going on to their adventures, it's fine for them. For me, I mean, I'm gonna honestly say, you can hashtag, hey DP, all you want and everything. Say this, I'm not that interested in Din's, exploits anymore. Grogu. You could do something with that right there. But, they didn't have a lot, for his character to actually do throughout the whole season until the last couple episodes. In fact, we said this in a couple episodes ago. You could have left Grogu out of this season and brought him back at the last two episodes to make this sort of give a little bit more emotional weight to, then getting reunited with Grogu. But I feel a little bit cynical because I feel it's like a corporate mandate that, you have to have Grogu in this show. You can't just have Luke take him out, and have him go train and then that's it. So we know sell a lot of toys. We need to sell a lot of toys. So Grogu back in that first episode.
My daughter's wearing something with Grogu on it
now because of the IG-11 thing at the end.
Nah, they didn't have to do that. I mean, nah, I'm with DP, and I told you guys this. Like for his age,
before you get into that, just to cap it off, like I said, 95% of the episode I like. I think at the end it left me wanting more.
Right. But no, I mean, and we'll dump into that point since you started it, right? And I told you guys this. Like I feel that, especially in the last episode when he's out of the suit. It shows you he's like capable of using the Force. So he's trained. So like he should be on this whole like infant, and even the armorer kind of alludes to it. Like he's capable of defending himself, and then kind of like did the whole dad like you can't run scared anymore. Like so we know that he's capable. I just felt like he should have been shown off more as whatever the species, whether Yoda and Yaddle are, like he's flipping in the air, he's doing that, and I was like at that point, like, oh my gosh, here it comes, you're going to see something crazy, and it's like they like kind of like do this whole we're selling toys, you got to be a baby still, like
no, but he was doing stuff. He was pushing the weapons away from the Praetorian guards.
That's
letting
the
Din.
Praetorian Guards is another story for another day. I'm sorry,
and
he's
so
not
weak.
taking down
They were
3.
weak.
Yeah, like that
They were
doesn't.
But he's so powerful. Grogu's so powerful. He should be able to take down all those guys. I mean, think about how Yoda
They're
dealt with.
force sensitive, though. Come on, Hitch.
Think about how Yoda dealt with the senatorial guard that the Palpatine had. Right, walks in, bang,
yeah, down.
So, but they took down. It took a Prime Jedi to take him down in the one of the greatest films of all time.
I don't want to get tied. This is not Dragon Ball Z talk, so I don't want to get tied up in power levels, right? Like,
you know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying
but
that.
to
Like,
me,
power levels. Where's Din Grogu at? Like,
obviously, they're like as strong as Rey. Obviously,
he did better than us. He did better than any of us would do.
A Mandalorian with no weapons to take down 3 Praetorian Guards. I just find that like it's one of those damage things. I get it, right? But I just figured he'd take he's like hurt. I mean, he got blew up. They got done more when they were pinned down in the saloon. Remember, he was like almost dead. Like
he was only level 1 back then. He's level
like
3
the
now.
first line of Praetorian Guards, they're not at that point where they were in the Last Jedi when we last seen.
They weren't as evolved, right?
Yeah, they weren't as evolved. So this is like the first run of soldiers or whatever.
Yeah, the Emperor's Guard that Palpatine had, we never saw them do anything, did we?
You mean the ones that Snoke had?
No, I'm talking Palpatine.
Return of the Jedi. Well, they were just but you remember this didn't happen because these Praetorian Guards are all old Temple Guards that weren't Dark Jedi that switched over.
But they were. I feel like I'm supposed to relate them to those guards that. And what did Luke do? He just went, and they both choked and fell over. I'm talking Return of the Jedi. The two Emperor guards that were there. That's what I feel these are evolved to. I mean, am I wrong?
These would be they're Praetorian Guards.
They're dressed in
the
red.
Emperor.
They're royal guards.
Yeah, they're Imperial Guards, and now they're Praetorian Guards. So even though the Praetorian Guard serves at the direct command of the Emperor. So I don't know. But they seem cool.
I think it's the same kind of thing. I mean, the same garb, the dress. They're given the highest honor of being the guard of the boss. The one that's in charge.
I mean, I see what you guys are saying because maybe these Praetorian Guards aren't force sensitive until later. So maybe if that's what it is now, then it makes sense.
It's headcanon. I mean, we don't want to write a story that's not there.
That's
it
not
sure seems like
because
they're able to get their
force
asses
sensitive.
whipped by a Mandalorian. So I mean, I mean that's not headcanon. That's on the tape. And is that the guy that got the neck stab? This. One.
And you know what? If you watch the end of these episodes, they always do the artist renderings artwork.
Yeah.
Did you notice the one where the Mandalorian was flying a TIE fighter? I mean, I thought that was interesting because they left that element out of the actual episode, and that's the first time I've ever seen any of these artist renderings being left out. But there was a Mandalorian, and it looked like Din flying a TIE fighder.
Maybe that's how they had Axe escaping at one point. And they were like, "Yeah, just have him jump out the window. He's fine."
Right?
Maybe something, but it was a storyline. It was like there was a little offshoot of this whole big battle that was going on that we kind of missed out on. We didn't see that, and I mean, come on, let's face it. This was a great Star Wars battle. This was a.
It was, yeah.
It was a good episode.
We saw a rebellion. We saw a huge rebellion. We saw people wanting to take back their property, and they did it in style. I mean, and if they did it completely. They weren't evasive. They were in your face. I mean, they weren't trying. There was no espionage. They didn't send spies in to pull some dumb little data disk out. They took it. I mean, they just took it back.
I just sort of wish that with Moff Gideon, remember when we first got introduced to him, back in season 1, it was like wow, this dude is such a badass. You know, I mean, you need to be scared of this guy. You know, it's like, what is he gonna do? You know, he just has like, you know, so many layers to him that we didn't know about. And then here, while he looked great, you know, for the 2 episodes that he was there, I mean, it just seems like he was more of a cartoon villain, you know, to me. And
I
that
told you, yeah. I just expected more.
It could have been developed. And these are the problems with these 8-episode seasons. You just can't really do enough based on the story that you try to pack into it. But I would have is you get the hero's story and everything, the hero's arc, but you really don't get a whole lot from the villains, but just the fact that, okay, they have like a cabal, you know, getting together, talking about different stuff. And then the villain, you know, announces what he's going to do, but we don't get any type of motivations or reasons as to why. But and then they throw Thrawn's name, you know, out there and stuff.
Right. So do you feel like the villain was kind of like taken down a couple of notches before they even had a chance to assert themselves?
I feel that Moff Gideon was presented in season 1 as like this formidable force, and I didn't feel that way in these last 2 episodes.
Like he was a clown.
Yeah, he went down very easily, I will say. And then, I mean, this was my gripe. Remember, I said this DP with episode 6 when they did the Lizzo episode. I was like, you know, it's cool if they pay it off, right? But you just wasted 40 minutes. If we could have been here. We could have developed. We could have saw about the clones. We could have been the Mandalore a little sooner. I just felt like that episode, if it was half and then we got here and then had maybe 20 more minutes, I just felt like you're saying, there's 8 episodes that, you know, there wasn't enough time. And then they had a filler episode that really just made this 2-part finale like that compressed. There was not enough time.
I feel like from a story perspective, they needed to only have gone to Mandalore once. It's the fact that they went 2 times this season that really is an issue. And I think you could have compressed some of that, you know, just consolidated some of that story so that, you know, Din and Bo-Katan, maybe they were the only ones that went down first, and then blah, 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 all that crap happens at first. And I think you're right where you want to be. And some of our problems with this, I think, stem from the fact that, you know, Grogu's Jedi time happened primarily during the Boba Fett series. And so it's hard to really talk about this season without that whole subplot, because it feels like in reality we got a 10 episode or maybe a 12 episode Mandalorian season 3 spread over this and Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. Good point.
So by the time this season starts, you know, we've already experienced the whole, all right, Grogu, get out of here, kid. And then he shows up anyway, right? So we already got that when it would have been Grogu shows up for the last couple episodes of this, right? Like you were saying, I think T-Mitch, you said that.
Yeah. He's a little more formidable. Yeah.
In a dramatic return.
Yeah, right? Because they could have set that up, and you're perfectly right what you're saying, right? So if they started it out that Din went to Mandalore by himself, got in trouble, had to send a beacon out to then everybody came there, and this plot developed at the end that he's like injured or whatever, then it makes more sense because then Grogu comes to save, Bo-Katan comes, and the rest of the Mandalorians are now like united.
And what inspires Grogu right now? His dad.
Exactly. So if they played it out that him saving his dad, and that's the whole story of Star Wars, that would all make sense.
That's the return.
And that Gideon was luring Grogu there. Like that. Yeah. That's one thing about. So if I was to nitpick this, they didn't make it seem like Gideon's plan the whole time was to have Grogu show up, and then he hasn't. And if they would have just
motivations,
he could have just said it was as simple as him saying, "I see you falling into my trap" for no reason. If he just would have said that. Like you just, if you
accepted that, yes,
the Dick
you just put some subtitles in there.
Dick Dastardly one.
Buy it. You fallen into my trap. No, you fallen into my trap. I get that. That's tropey. But they went. You know, we're all spoiled by the likes of Rick and Morty and other sorts of sci-fi that's very cynical that has come out in the last 20 years. And we got essentially like if you were designing what would you want to see like in an ending, you pretty much would pick this, and you wouldn't think at the end of this season, what's next for these characters? For the most part, you know what they're all going to be doing for a while. I mean, maybe 20 years. I mean, seriously, when you think about it, like Grogu's not going to age very, very quickly. So he's going to take a long time to bring along. Din's going to be running around doing bounties and hunting down Imperials.
Yeah, for Carson.
Everybody else is going to be rebuilding Mandalore. Cara Dune has gone back to her home planet, I assume, and because her people needed her. And I thought it was hilarious how Disney flexed and were like, we'll just replace the role you would have obviously had. It's a robots now. Like, so they were like, we saved all that money, not having to pay anybody to be the sheriff at the end.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to come into play in the next season at all. Do you? No, I don't.
What, the IG-11 Marshall thing? No, that's
no. That's that. We're done with Navarro. We're done. Like that story has been tied up in a bow. It's finished. We're not going back there at all.
But GTA, that's like where you go back now. That's where your house
there now.
That's right? Trevor's house, right? That's Trevor's house.
Yeah, that's Trevor's house.
Yeah. And they'll bring Carl Weathers back in every now and again, but I don't think there's any reason to go back there. We're on to now connecting this middle story with the post trilogy. That's where we're.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now that we got the announcements that are coming out with this movie and everything, there's still some things to be done. So they're going to continue with, Din and Grogu are going to continue on their Adventure of the Week stuff, which is fine. And I'm sure he's going to run into some stuff where he's going to end up having to team up with Ahsoka and, Skeleton Crew or something down the line that he's going to run into, And I guess I'm fine with that, since I know what's coming, and I love a story that builds. So if you're going to end it this way, if I know things are coming down the line, I can accept this is where you're going to go, So I just know it makes people happy that they're going back to the Adventures of the Week of Din and Grogu.
Does it though?
Invested in.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, so an early timeline indication is this will be the last series before the movie. So Favreau is actually writing it. He's almost finished writing it. I believe this goes into production and it's going to be out in the next 15 to 18 months. The movie is slated in 2026. So based on 15, 18 months of production, Ahsoka and all the stuff they have to tie this in, this will be slated as a next 2025 Christmas release is when we'll see Mandalorian Season 4, leading into that movie in May.
Christmas?
Christmas. They're saying that fourth quarter 25. Because it's 12 to 15 months after the shoots.
So didn't they say they wanted to try to fit 2 seasons of Ahsoka before the movie?
Correct. So there'll be 2 Ahsokas before we get another Mandalorian. Think about it though.
We already have to see Thrawn.
It's be like when Guardians of the Galaxy.
We'll see Thrawn like in by August.
Yeah, she'll be in Ahsoka for sure.
Yeah,
like he's been cast and it's confirmed. Like his face is in the extended trailer or something. So,
and he's the next real Imperial leader. I mean,
he's the big bad. Yeah.
I mean, these other guys that they have like Moff Gideon, Kylo Ren, losers.
Pretenders, phonies.
Yeah. And if you're going to make a pretenders, make them more not cartoon pretenders and everything, but just give them a little bit more meat. Not just I'll announce my evil plan and everything. Ha ha ha.
Oh, you sound just like him. That was really good.
Think about it though. He had a power suit that was made not from just standard Beskar, but Beskar alloy. So his suit was already stronger than Beskar. He had mechanical elements. He literally had a machine, like his hands were robots, right? He broke the Darksaber.
But he had no force. He had no ability.
So you get over it.
So if we're going down there, then how does Dan just walk him? How does he come on, man? That's where I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because Din makes this doesn't make sense.
Because he can fight. Din can fight.
I've never seen Moff Gideon go down like Din does.
Yeah. Moff Gideon
just because he has that armor, want to be Darth Vader armor and everything. That looks really cool. That it doesn't mean that he can fight like Din.
But he shouldn't be able to take no damage. It's alloy.
To be able to fight, you have to have something taken away from you that you have to fight for. And Din had that. Gideon didn't.
I don't know. Gideon was capable in that last fight. Remember when they were fighting over the Darksaber?
weak.
That's what I'm saying. They like kind of like made him like, I don't know. The last
Mecha
time I seen
Gideon.
him, yeah, right, yeah, like a Mecha Godzilla. Like that would have been a better ploy if he got injured and they did the whole Anakin like he was beat up or whatever, so he needed the mechanical suit. That might have made a little more sense. We could have did a regen kind of
I
Vader.
liked him getting engulfed in a fireball. That was great.
Oh,
And
do you think he's dead?
and Din Grogu.
Hell no.
You think he's dead with a Beskar alloy suit? That's
Oh,
not
he's
gonna do
gone.
it?
That whole
He's
situation
gone.
was a
Gone.
fridge in the Nevada desert where everybody could jump into in case they get nuked. So
Yeah.
I
He's
wouldn't
not
it wouldn't
gone.
shock me. But they dropped a whole building on him. And hey, you know, it would be nice to see it being really hard to pilot that ship since everyone makes a big deal out of Anakin being able to land that ship in the Clone Wars. They seem to have hit the target yet again. Which is they hit him with a whole building. And yeah, it would not shock me if he's not dead or there's a clone somewhere. I mean, if you're making clones, like if I was storing my clones, right? There's no way I put them all in one place. Never. I would hide them like Horcruxes all over the place.
There'd be one under your bed.
the number one hiding place. No one will ever look there.
Yeah, no one will ever look under the bed because there's never anything under the bed. My daughter always says, "There's a monster under my bed." I go, "Look, there's nothing there. Nothing." There's
now we have our live action Star Killer, because that's all that was a just straight ode to the EU. That was 100% Star Killer. So will we have our Star Killer? Because that takes us to levels. If we do have like a force sensitive Gideon that they can't control. I mean, and then again, it takes down a rabbit hole. How attuned is the Force with him? How does it take? If it takes, because he only has a portion of Grogu's blood, right? So that was another thing. If they needed more, because I thought the cloning program needed more of Grogu, like you're saying, I guess we just forgot about that.
I thought they were going to tie Grogu with this whole thing a whole lot more.
With Dr. Pershing. Like I thought they were going to bring that back.
Yeah, I didn't feel that they did enough with all that, And I think the whole Mandalore plot just probably sort of bogged that down and stuff.
What do we do? What about Coruscant? Like, what happens to those guys? Like, are they loose now? Do they?
I guess that girl's just gonna sit on that with that mech and just keep calling his cell phone, right? And there's no answer. Like she's gonna keep calling for Gideon, and he's like not picking up.
He's
in this
not
alley.
picking up.
In this alleyway.
Pick up the ISB.
Yeah.
The ISB.
That doesn't make sense.
The ISB's coming.
They're coming for you.
The NRB, right? The New Republic.
The NRB.
NRSB.
Yeah. So that's a whole thing. They introduced that character. What's her name? GR8. The Agent GR8. They introduced that whole character with this really interesting like subplot, and it's gone. Like there's nothing to do with it now because her only connection was Moff Gideon, and as far as I'm concerned, Gideon's gone.
Imagine having to lean in like you hate the New Republic, but now that Gideon is gone, like you have to like actually commit to the reintroduction program. You'll have to be like, you have to actually start doing it for real.
Now, what'll be really interesting is that now that Din is working for like the New Republic, if we get a little bit more politics involved with the New Republic and how he interacts with them and how he gets his work done without them knowing certain things, because I guess he's only requesting certain bounties or whatever.
Yeah.
But so but he's on the side of the New Republic. So I'm imagining that we're going to get a lot more story about the New Republic based on, the fact that they want to do the whole movie thing with the New Republic and stuff. So we're going to get a lot of that, in the next season in 5 years.
So they could slowly rewrite the post trilogy from here, couldn't they?
No, no.
Yeah, they could.
But they could.
They could.
Do anything
they could absolutely rewrite it from here.
Well, yeah, I mean, in theory, yeah, they should, but
they kind of had, because like if we think about what we think, I mean, as of episode 9, Ahsoka's dead because we heard her voice. So does she in 10? I mean, we thought Mandalore was gone. Mandalore's back, so they kind of are slowly rewriting things,
rewriting it, and they know how weak the storyline was. We talk about it. And
So
when you
somehow
have a
Palpatine
What?
returned.
story,
Hey, Hitch. I'm hearing a lot of wheeze here. I swear, if we go back, like, there
well,
weren't a
let's
lot of
go
We
back.
can roll.
wheeze.
We could
We
roll the
did
tape
hear
on
part of the
this.
tape,
We
yeah.
could roll some tape.
There
I'm
were
sure
not
if
a
we
lot of
decided to.
wheeze about these whole sequel trilogies. I believe there were not a lot of wheeze, but I like it, Ken. Keep
I
going.
like.
Keep going. I like
I'm
this. I
just
like
saying,
this.
right
I
now,
liked episode 8. I'm not gonna lie. I liked episode 8 on seeing it. I thought they didn't pay off. I thought there were too many Chekhov's guns unfired on episode 8 and episode 9. Like they just left too much stuff on the table, and to me, it was like you just that made it a pointless boondoggle where they
Right.
they shoved everything into like 12 hours of real time for no. All right, I'm done. I didn't want this to turn into that.
No,
It's happened before.
no.
we start talking
That's
about Star Wars.
Let's
it's
stick
like,
with this episode 8.
Right, we want
and
to stay
that'll
here.
be that'll be our finale when we're trying to tie this all together here. Our part 2. So
Yeah, we'll
we'll
leave that
save
in the
that. We'll save that for next week. But no. Back to the point. I mean, you guys are right. And I felt that they did pay off things. So like the whole Darksaber thing, and I know Ken, you love it, right? They paid off the Darksaber perfectly because the Darksaber ending up being the thing that drove Mandalorians apart. And now it's gone. They're not going to bring it back. They don't want the Jedi weapon. They're going to keep it back to guns and stuff. Because think about it, that was the weapon that destroyed Mandalorians. Whether it's Death Watch, because essentially the blade was for a Mandalorian Jedi that somehow pre-visited the god,
a
right?
trinket, a trinket.
Correct. So the fact that it divided the Mandalorians and now it's off the board, and even Death Watch, they said it being or children of the Watch, so to speak. He foreshadowed it in that episode where he says, "We don't care about this sword like you think. Like it's just a
Yeah,
sword."
yeah.
So this whole like feeling about you need this sword to lead us, it doesn't matter. So once they did that, it was paid off. It's no longer a point
But
of
okay, do you feel that they paid it off like that? So I totally agree. They didn't really need the sword. But do you feel that because this is a dark saber, with this legendary dark saber, that Moff Gideon disabling of it as easy as he did was like, did that pay off? I mean, did it feel like it was like, okay,
it paid off.
it was gonna go off as
He
easy.
broke the handle.
Yeah,
That
he
paid
broke
off for
the
yeah.
handle, and that was it.
It paid off for Bo-Katan because it was that weight off her back. Because
Yeah.
remember, she's now the lady
I
priest. So
understand that. I'm talking about the actual physical dark saber itself. I'm thinking it's like, okay, impenetrable. It
no,
can't really
it's
be
just
easily destroyed.
it wasn't made of Beskar. It was just like a lightsaber hilt. Because remember, it was made from it was a Mandalorian Jedi's weapon. So it was
Like
just
the
like
only
a
one.
standard hilt. Yeah, it was a standard hilt that
Okay.
had a unique kyber crystal that was able to give off that different radiation, the radiant.
I mean, they
And
could
meant-
fix it. I mean,
it
they
meant-
just got to put a new thing for the kyber crystal,
Right.
Like a new battery pack and a new hilt. They should be. I mean, because the crystal is what is the
Right.
soul
Get that
of
from
the blade,
Amazon.
right?
And it was
Yeah.
sort of funny to me that he wanted that Moff Gideon wanted the dark saber, and then he just destroyed it.
Destroyed it. So
Yeah.
He's
here's
just
the
been
thing.
nagging Mandalore all season.
What did Bo say at the end? Mandalorians are stronger together. It has nothing to do with that weapon. That's stupid. That weapon means nothing.
That weapon destroyed her people because remember, it just all started when she gave it to him
Yep.
on the purge, and that's what that was the payoff. She gave it to him on the purge. He destroyed it after it, so it paid the whole story off. So I get it. It became full circle.
Yeah, and it means nothing, right?
No.
We all know that it means nothing. What means something is family. What means a people getting together and putting down their differences and rising up against evil.
When you bring it to that point, it would have been emotionally cathartic,
Catharsis. Yeah.
if these people took off their helmets at the end. If they're in all that room, took off their helmets, and then all of a sudden it was just one type of thing.
Totally wanted them to do that. I really wanted them to.
That would have been just a great thing to actually see. I mean, you're paying like both of the groups getting together. If everyone took off their helmets, or maybe if everyone put on their helmets, but that wouldn't have been as like
Like, listen, we know what church is. Like, just do it once a week. You go take your bath in the waters, which are now right here, right? You throw on your helmet, do your whole whatever church is. I guess just shooting guns at a lake. which is church for some people. Great. I'm not here to judge. And then move on with your life. I feel like that could really work.
Yeah. And maybe you only put your helmet on when you have to fight.
Right.
Or a special
Does
occasion.
that make sense?
Yeah,
Or for a
like
for an
going
event,
over to Grandma
ceremony.
Mandalorian's for Life Day, I think
Life
would
Day.
wear
Yeah.
or Death Day. I don't know. I don't know what would they could, but they have a Life Day on Mandalorian. We don't care about life. It was Warrior Day.
Fight day, kill day,
Fight day, kill day, struggle day, wrestling day.
Yeah, the cool thing is though, like you're talking about. So with us going into a season 4, the time jump, I guess Vizsla's son will now take on his mantle of having the machine gun, so he'll probably be a lot. Yeah, he'll be an adult, I'm guessing. But I'm glad that they didn't go the spy route. We didn't have to pull up that the armorer is Rook and
right.
she or I thought it was going to end up being him driving the light cruiser. I was like, bro, it's gonna flip on him like he was a spy. So I'm kind of glad they kind of just stayed off of that and kept the people united. But ultimately, I mean, I guess it's cool that they didn't take their helmet off. Some of them, right? Because it's one of those things. Even if you're united, there are religions within religions. So it's one of those
Makes
things.
sense.
Some
That always
people, yeah,
happens.
just kind of like Muslims, right? Some
Right.
like to wear a hijab, some don't. So it's one of those things that I can understand.
What's the significance that Din Grogu saw the mythosaur?
Din Denton Grogu is able to control animals. So if anything happens in the future, the one that will ride the mythosaur will be Grogu because he connected with it through the Force.
And how cool will that be?
It'll be cool. I mean, to some people, me, I don't know how I feel yet because I still want him to be a Jedi. So I'm kind of like flipped.
Why? He can spend a lifetime on each, and he's got to spare.
And again, yeah, he has unlimited.
It only takes 40 years to be. I mean, let's assume being a Jedi Master is like being a like a professor of English literature, right? And the more you read, the more powerful you get, or some whatever wacko stuff they do. 40 years is all it takes. He's going to live to be like 900. He's got plenty of time. He can do both. I mean, he literally can have his cake and eat it too.
Right. But yeah, to be a Mandalorian apprentice and a Jedi Master, that would be cool to be. I mean, think about it. He would be the next Mandalorian Jedi, right? He can be.
How about Din's whole okay. The whole sequence at the end where Din ended up adopting Grogu and all that. Okay. First of all, we've always saw him as the dad to Grogu and everything. So for this
so why do we have to do that?
I don't know. I thought. I mean, is it that easy on Mandalorian? That you could just say, okay, well, the armor says
no paperwork.
No paperwork. Just the armor says. Armor says that Din's parents aren't really here, so you're not technically, his dad. Well, I'm gonna adopt him. How about that, Armorer? This is the way.
It was quick.
That's scripted in the universe. I think that's how they always do that.
Right.
That's just how, because you can't. A foundling is the the responsibility of all of them. Once you become an apprentice, you become the responsibility of your master. Parent or whatever we want to call it. And so that ceremony sounded to me like what she always says. Well, his parents are nowhere around here. How could we, how could they possibly say anything? And then the other person's supposed to respond, I'll be their parent. It's all set up. It's a long-term bit.
So she's basically putting out a rhetorical question that he already knows what the answer should be. Right. Just like how she did in the one episode with Bo-Katan or whatever, she posed the what did she say? No. She said something, and it was about I can't.
Is it about when she saw the mythosaur and she was questioning her about if she?
Yep. And she just easily agreed with, okay, well, yeah, okay, I believe you now. You saw the mythosaur, then this is the way and everything. I mean, the armor is easily amenable, to what other people say, as far as that. So
yeah,
if what his says is scripted into like their ways, then I guess it is the way and stuff. I guess I wish it was a little bit more clarity into like their in their ways and how they go about that.
It just felt
maybe
like
they
a
don't
wedding.
have a conscience.
It felt like a what?
Like a wedding. Like, you know what I mean? Like if I started officiating a wedding right now with nothing in front of me, you would get it. Like you would be able to figure out what I was doing pretty quick because you would recognize it, right? Because the culture, it's in the culture, it's embedded everywhere. That's what I mean. Is it scripted like that? Like you're supposed to go up and say, "Hey, I want to make him my apprentice." Well, his parents aren't here. Well, I'm actually adopting him too. Like that. That's
okay. So you go about it like that. So early in the season, I feel that you could set that up a lot better. So when we see it now, it's more of a payoff. Okay, the other, you got two other, Mandalorians doing it like episode 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
Now he's doing it, with Grogu. So it's more of like a payoff. So
and there was the opportunity to do that too, right in that episode, and they didn't, which makes me think that I'm wrong and that you've beaten me. And that makes me very angry.
The ultimate payoff was, right? It was basically a regen of Din's story. That's how they got Din. This is how Din got Grogu. He was lost, right? He was stolen. So just how they found, Din, it was like, a child lost in war that they've adopted. He's done the same thing through Grogu. He found him on a mission and he adopted him the same way. So it was kind of like foreshadowing, bringing like, especially when they tie him into Din's name now, it kind of makes that full circle as far as how, because his name wasn't Din Djarin, obviously it was something else, but he adopted that name. So now that Din has adopted him, he adopts the Din part. So it kind of makes Din's story more full circle, I guess, so to speak, and ties how he became a Mandalorian once, a foundling to a Mandalorian.
Okay, if Djarin is his name, Din is sort of like the surname,
Correct,
like Chinese.
And why is that not his name? How do we know that's not his name?
Because unfortunately we didn't get the proper backstory. We just got flashbacks.
Oh,
I
just eat it up. It's fine. That's his name.
Okay.
All right.
Ken said, "Leave it be. Leave it be."
Stop reading so much into everything. Come on, man. Sometimes you just
gotta
say,
that's what we're here for.
Sometimes an egg. We just have
what
to.
We're here for, man. We're here for that, though. With some of us, got to be like. Somebody's got to be the devil's advocate, right? Somebody has to be.
It's a great name, and it looks good on a card, with an action figure. Come on,
hey, Grogu.
Yeah, sure. I'll buy
it. Put it on some pants. Put it on a shirt. Put it on something for a toddler. I'll own it in minutes. Just give it to me.
Absolutely.
Shove it in my face. I'm the same way.
It doesn't have to be like empirical. It doesn't have to be scientifically proven.
Ken, you are absolutely so. Ken, here's the thing I like about what you just said there. I mean, you too, Hitch. It doesn't have to be Andor. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to measure up to, I guess, our expectation of the story has to tie up neatly and do all the things that we expect stories to do. Especially if some of us, I feel like that me and Hitch, me and T Mitch are more on on like the information, back end information and everything.
Right.
Yeah. And then we get some of our
what it is. It's the headcanon. It's the Marvel thing. And it's the Marvel tie-in is what it is, right?
I totally understand that. Nothing's going to be like episode 4, 5, 6. You cannot tear apart those 3 stories ever. They are interconnected. Everything is laid out for you. Everything else is a bubble.
Is up for debate. I don't know about that, Ken, but I get your point.
You tell me you could find holes in 4, 5, 6. I mean, those were.
I'm pretty sure if we go back and watch the tape.
We talk about those Ewoks, man.
Those Ewoks.
We haven't reviewed the Ewok movie there, Ken.
They used logs to beat a military force that has to be at least as capable as a platoon of United States Marines. You have to believe that. I mean, they're much more technologically able, and they beat them with logs. Not even like some of them were pretty big, but not all of them.
Do you know why? Because the Empire never thought of it.
Just put it on there.
They never thought that
Hands
an
on the-
AT-AT
hands on the
could be
table.
taken down
Yes,
by
guys, on the
10
table.
tree logs.
Yes, guys, on the table.
You
They
wouldn't
never
think that,
thought of
right?
it.
You wouldn't think it.
DP, I know what you're thinking and I'm thinking, right? If we were going this Grogu story, you could have just said it was Yoda and Yaddle's son, and then he could have been like he's lost, right? We could have just did that and call it a day, and everybody would have been okay if we changed the name. I mean that's what it is,
So
right?
in your story, T. Mitch, the entire reason that the Sith won is because Yoda had sex. Is that
Yeah.
reading this right?
And
But let's think
had
about
a baby Grogu, which
Did I not tell you guys that Yoda destroyed the Jedi? I've said this the whole time. Yoda destroyed the Jedi Council.
If you try to
His
pull that, they'll be like, they reproduce asexually.
They can
Yoda
be-
laid
they
an
can be-
egg
yeah.
like 300 years ago. He's fucked.
everybody can be mad at me all they believe, but Yoda was a downfall of the Jedi Council. He was so stubbornly blind to being the military force of the Republic that clouded his judgment more than other Jedi. And it's one of those things, right? When the Supreme Leader has all the power, you can't say nothing to him. Other Jedi,
he admits
Qui-Gon
it.
mentioned to him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
too
admits
late.
it though.
He made it at the end, too late.
Well,
So yeah, he was the downfall of the Jedi.
But he
but-
was in charge of the Jedi Order for like it would be like if we heard the story about how Yoda came to power alongside like Abe Lincoln or you know what I mean,
Right.
like King George III and Yoda were like grew up together and were buddies. You know what I mean? Like he's
went
been
to
around
third
for
grade.
so long.
They went to third grade together.
All you want to talk about is the last 5 years
Right.
that Yoda was in charge of the Jedi Council and act like that defines his legacy. But he was in charge for a long time, and they had a lot of successful times under Yoda.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
We need a crash sound here. Do you have one?
Soundboard.
Okay.
What do we need a crash sound for?
Perfect.
Nothing.
Come on,
crashed.
just do it. It'll be funny.
Nothing crashed. The only thing crashing is your review of 7, 8, 9 right now, because I feel that nothing's
Number-
crashing right now. 7, 8, 9.
There we go. That's it.
Oh man.
But no, guys. I mean, we'll wrap up this week, and as we said, we'll come back next week, and we'll do basically we kind of did a little bit. We started today, but we'll do our overall season review. It'll be just like this, open discussion about what we thought. I'm sure we'll tie into the original sequel. It'll be it's just a general review of this, what our thoughts are moving forward. We'll obviously discuss celebrations, and it kind of just. As we say, it's just Carbonite. It's just BS, right? BS about Star Wars.
It's
So
all BS.
it is. This will be our part 2.
There might be some shorts or something on the 26th.
I
We might have a
think
little
something
bit.
comes out. Yeah,
There might be a few drops.
There's those Jedi stories coming out. The children's series
Young
comes
Jedi.
out. Yeah. So we'll have stuff, but I mean the big one we'll do that review. But yeah, I mean it's just. I don't know. I'm happy. I think our overall arching thing is we're happy.
Yeah, I enjoyed the season as a whole season. I mean, some people may have been down on it, but as a whole season, I enjoyed this season of Mandalorian. I think I want to say last season. I mean, when the end off with Luke was great, But I think I really like this season. I really like this season.
Yeah, I think this season was so far the best for sure. Overall, it was the best.
Yep.
But yeah, guys, we'll continue this talk next week, and we, as we always say, we appreciate everybody tuning in. Hopefully, maybe we'll get some polls going on the Facebook group, get some interaction from you guys. But until next week, we continue this talk. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Thank you.